Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the co-owner and creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk about the anxious preoccupied attachment style individual, and I really want to dive into the recognition of whether or not you're jumping into relationships because there's fears of being alone, because your attachment system is being activated, your attachment trauma and programs are being activated, and that can be confused with a lot of attraction and infatuation, or whether you're actually jumping into relationships with the right people and how to tell the difference. So if you've ever had the experience of wondering, like, okay, am I in the right relationship? Am I just afraid of being alone? And this can happen to fearful avoidant who lean anxious as well. If you've ever had the experience of feeling like you're unhappy in relationships, you keep running into the same relationships with the same types of characters or people that leave you feeling unfulfilled, not happy, this could really be a big reason of why this is taking place. And if this is you, all of this stuff, all of what's taking place that's leading you to these same patterns, these same conclusions, not knowing if like you have the right person in a relationship, if you're choosing relationships well as an anxious preoccupied individual, all of this is telling you very valuable information about your subconscious, what needs to take place and what's currently going on. And so all of this stuff is reprogrammable, changeable. We have a tremendous amount of people, like literally so many emails on a daily basis of people who've become secure through going through the school, have reprogrammed their attachment style, and these things change. And they end up coming to us being like, oh my gosh, I've been in a relationship now for 3 months. It's going extremely well. I feel so safe and secure. So I just want to make sure I'm constantly giving the message, like, this isn't an anxious attachment style, a fearful avoidant, dismissive avoidant. These are not like personality disorders. These are just a set of subconscious programs that you have as rules for relating that you can change and reprogram. So we're going to talk about in this video, like some steps to recognize from this very specific pattern of not knowing why you're in relationships that leave you unfulfilled, not knowing if you're in the right relationship, and not knowing if you're really truly in love versus you are just finding yourself in a relationship, maybe out of convenience, maybe out of triggering, maybe out of confusion with infatuation, what this is based on and what to do. Okay. Before I dive into all of it, we are also still doing a sale to support our community. The coupon code for joining the school is 25% off membership bundles, so 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. The coupon code itself is with you, all one word, and it's for the all access membership pass. So you get access to I think we have 150 plus webinars at this point that are pre-recorded. I do 4 new ones live a week to answer your questions, over 30 plus courses. We've just launched our collaboration collection with other courses. We're gonna have meditation, breathwork, all these really amazing things in there. And again, we literally have people coming to us all the time, thanking us and emailing because they are becoming securely attached and having thriving relationships as a result. And we also do a money back guarantee for 30 days if you're not super happy with the content, because we've just had such fantastic results. So coupon code in the description box below and in this video. So it's not uncommon for anxious preoccupied individuals to go from relationship to relationship. And a large part of this is that the brain is wired to avoid pain, even more than it's wired to seek out pleasure and connection. And so what can happen is if there's a fear of being alone, if there's a lot of negative associations built into being alone, and I'm just highlighting that point for a second because I think most people watching this will be like, oh, some people don't have negative associations to being alone. Yeah, some people enjoy being alone. Some people like their alone time. It feels good. It feels safe. So it's not being alone that's a scary thing. It's what we believe about being alone, what we've made being alone mean, the emotional associations programmed into the relationship around being alone. And those are the reasons that it can be strongly disliked. And so as a byproduct of that happening, it's not uncommon for anxious preoccupied individuals to sort of jump from relationship to relationship to avoid those emotional associations that they have tied in at a subconscious level to what it means to be alone. And so that's right there telling you some valuable information, okay? Now, the reason we experience being attracted to other people in romantic relationships, like actual attraction, infatuation, it is based off of 3 core patterns. Number 1, somebody meeting needs that are deeply unmet within yourself. Number 2, somebody expressing traits that you're repressing or that you have on a pedestal and think are amazing. Or number 3, a subconscious comfort zone for what love is. Now, I really want to highlight number 3 because in this specific topic, it's not uncommon for anxious, preoccupied individuals and even fearful avoidance leaning anxious to have the experience of feeling like they're so passionate and they have all this passion and excitement towards somebody or infatuation. And a large part of that can sometimes be a symptom of not being fully integrated as a person and not having, you're not meeting your own needs. It can be that your subconscious comfort zone for what love is, for example, is a lot of inconsistency, because usually there was that in childhood, and that inconsistency built in negative associations to being alone, because feeling afraid and not knowing if you were going to survive or be safe or what was happening, not getting the opportunity to learn how to self-soothe, and then having that inconsistency in your adult life mimics those patterns. Your subconscious mind stores all memory ever. Those emotional associations flood to the surface. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I need to fix the inconsistency. And oh my gosh, I feel all these feelings about this person. But sometimes the feelings are more about the wounds and the triggers that are alive than they are about the person. Now, this isn't always the case, but it can be for a lot of anxious, preoccupied individuals. So what does that mean and what can you do about it? Well, I want you to recognize first, if we have a breakup, if a relationship ends, we don't miss the person's body. We're not like, oh, their physical form, like their body as a human. What we're missing are those same things that we became attracted to in the first place. We miss the traits the person brought into our life. Maybe they brought humor or fun or, just aliveness into our lives. Maybe it was needs that they were meeting. So maybe they were meeting the need for emotional connection or social connection or physical connection or whatever it might be for you. And so when the person goes away, those things go away. And that's what pain is made up of when it comes to these types of dynamics. And so what's extremely important to do is to recognize that this is what that's based off of. And once you've isolated an emotional problem and you've really simplified it, now it's easier to solve. So sometimes the activating, just to be clear, can come more out of fear of being alone than it can be about actually truly feeling like you're super connected to a person. So how can you really tell the difference? Well, number one, and by the way, that sometimes can cause you to stay in relationships too long too, because you're so busy being afraid of losing the person that you might not actually be able to have time in a way. And it's not that you don't actually have time, but it's like you're so engulfed in that perspective of fearing losing the person or fearing being alone that you don't take the opportunity to consider if this is the right relationship, if this is really meeting your needs, if this is really great for you. And so that's a huge reason that anxious, preoccupied individuals end up in relationships they're not truly happy in. So there's some really, really powerful things that are happening here that are calling for you to pay attention and create change. Number one is that if you're in a dynamic where you're like, I don't know if this is the right person, but I keep staying, it's a symptom of you first having unmet needs that person is meeting, and unmet needs in relationship to self. So there's certain things that you need as a person that person represents. And so we don't want to get rid of the person because we're afraid of losing the needs. And I'm not saying get rid of the person, we should just get rid of people. I mean, if you know that you're largely unhappy in a relationship and you're not sure why you're still there, that's the type of feedback that you're looking for. So number one, you want to look for what are the needs that I'm stuck on and that I won't let go of, because if it's just one or two things and then the rest of the relationship isn't fulfilling you, what that tells you is that those needs are so profoundly unmet within the relationship to self, either because you're blocking them from being met. An example of this could be somebody makes you feel important and validated, but as a general rule, you are totally not allowing yourself to feel important and validated because you're not looking out for your own feelings, not looking out for your own needs, maybe deflecting compliments or praise from people, deflecting encouragement and support, not allowing yourself to receive it out of fear of being a burden, these sorts of things. So number one, you're either blocking yourself in some way from getting that need met, or that need has just been so unmet because you weren't conscious that you had a need there in the first place. And so if somebody comes into your life and they give you admiration or validation or whatever it might be, if that's the one thing they give you and then everything else is really painful in the relationship, you might be staying because you're addicted to the need being met. So that's so important to recognize. Now, another thing that's important to recognize too is if there's traits, the subconscious mind wants wholeness. It wants equilibrium. It wants integration, homeostasis. We're all self-healing when we're in a state of homeostasis at the body level. And so the mind's seeking that out as well, no differently from our entire system. And so what can take place is somebody can express traits that you're repressing. So maybe somebody brings in like fun into your life, and maybe that trait or quality of fun and laughter and humor or whatever it might be is so unmet that you're hooked from that for that reason. So it's giving you such important feedback, because if you find that you're stuck or you're attached to things and you can't tell them, am I really in love, or am I just, afraid of being alone, which could also be a need that's met, right? Like somebody's giving you company, emotional connection, whatever it might be, but maybe they're being really mean and rude in all these different areas. Like you have to get clear about what those needs are or what those traits are. And then you have to start cultivating those things within the relationship to yourself. And once you've done that, you're going to be able to see clearly, am I in this relationship because it's the person, because it's like who I want to spend my time with? Or am I in this relationship because, I'm addicted to one or two needs? And that's a really important difference to be able to, a really important place to be able to tell the difference from. So that's a huge set of golden nuggets. Now there's some more. Another thing that this is sort of a symptom of, to a certain degree, if you're questioning, am I in love or am I just activating? It's also a symptom of not having consciously identified what you want in a relationship ahead of time. So you fall into these sort of relationships again, like by happenstance, like just you end up there. And so that's also extremely important to recognize. And intention is key when we talk about relationships. Like you want to know what you want in a relationship. You want to know what qualities, what traits, what needs, what type of relationship, how you communicate, what it looks like. Like you want to know what you want and what you desire so that you can be in a space where you're certain that this person is meeting a lot of those needs, is showing up in that way, and it was conscious and intentional for you. And you showed up in relationships, not dating and then trying to win somebody's approval in the first whole part of the relationship, and then later wondering like, was this the right relationship for me? You want to be able to start out of the gates by asking yourself those questions so that you increase your chances of feeling happy and fulfilled in relationships. And so intention is key. And I don't want you to get intention and expectation mixed up. Intention is like, like intending for something, like wanting to, it's like a passionate direction. Expectation is like, this is how it has to be. It's like a checklist. It's like no margin for error, no room. And that can actually create unhealth, a lack of health in our relationships. But intention, like this is definitely the direction. These are the traits I'm willing to give or take a little bit and make room for things that, aren't 100%, but overall, this is what I'm looking for. And with a little bit of flexibility involved, that's intention. And those are having standards for yourself and boundaries and clarity in relationship to self. So I know there's a lot to unpack in this video. We have so much inside of the school in terms of like how to reprogram these things, identify these things clearly ahead of time in our mindset mastery and life mapping course. We have areas to actually reprogram attachment style, to understand these traits and qualities, healing from like all of these different components. But I hope this is a good amount of information for now. I know this video is already a little bit long, but I just want to say thank you so much for listening, for being here. And I will see you in the next video.